The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. After he had fed the people, Jesus made the disciples get into a boat and precede him to the other side while he dismissed the crowds. After doing so, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray. When it was evening, he was there alone. Meanwhile, the boat, already a few miles offshore, was being tossed about by the waves, for the wind was against it. During the fourth watch of the night, he came toward them, walking on the sea. When the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified. "It is a ghost," they said, and they cried out in fear. At once, Jesus spoke to them, "Take courage, it is I, do not be afraid." Peter said to him in reply, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." He said, "Come." Peter got out of the boat and began to walk on the water toward Jesus. But when he saw how strong the wind was, he became frightened, and beginning to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me!" Immediately, Jesus stretched out his hand and caught Peter and said to him, "O you of little faith, why did you doubt?" After they got into the boat, the wind died down. Those who were in the boat did him homage, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of God." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Good morning.
Good morning, Father.
You know, yesterday I had a homily all prepared. It was theoretically a little humor in it and a little bit of chatter and things like that. But the events of the last couple of days have refocused my efforts. In the book of Kings this morning, we hear of Elijah. And Elijah is a prophet who Jesus, or the Lord, talks to and says, "Go up to the mountain because God is going to be coming by and you will encounter him there." So he goes up in the mountain, finds a cave, crawls in, and goes out every once in a while looking for God. And there's earthquakes, and there's thunderstorms, and all kinds of terrible things go by, powerful things. And Elijah can't find God in them. And eventually he finds a whispering wind where he does find God. God is found in the whispers. Now, we ought to have that tattooed on our arms or other places. God is found in the whispers. Yesterday in Charlottesville, there were no whispers. There was screaming and yelling and fighting, and because of that, people lost their lives. This country, this society, has forgot how to listen, has forgot the whispers. We can blame those people in Charlottesville, and they're certainly culpable for a great deal of blame. Both sides, probably. And we can mourn the loss of life and scratch our heads about the whys. But we all know the whys. And we're guilty of some of the same stuff. Our opinions are vitally important to us. we feel the need to share them with everybody. And I'm as guilty as anybody else. We don't like this, and we don't like that, and we don't like that person, and why isn't this happening? That's our society today. We elbow our way past people. We get ahead by climbing on top of people. And the result of that is noise, loud noise. Wind and earthquakes and fires and all kinds of other things. And we forget that God is found in the whispers. We can't find God if we're screaming. We can't find God if we're in the midst of a maelstrom. Somehow we have to find a quiet place, at least in our souls. We don't have to quit work. We don't have to give up. We don't have to go to a hermitage. We just have to find a quiet place in our souls where we can listen for God's presence. And in order to do that, sometimes we have to do something that is very difficult for us to do. We have to shut up. We have to keep our opinions to ourselves. We have to have an unenunciated thought. We have to care about the other person, no matter who the other is. Now, this ties in nicely with the gospel today, because in the gospel today, Jesus invites Peter to leave the boat and come walk with him. Now, what's the boat? What's our boat? Our boat is our comfort zone. Our boat is our comfortable lives. And Jesus is inviting us to come out of that comfort zone, to come out of a self-awareness, a focus on ourselves, and reach out to Him. We, like Peter, probably can't focus strongly enough to do that. And we'll sink in some ways as well, but Jesus will be there to pick us up. We have to begin to quietly move out of our comfort zone, to reach out to others in love, and to prove that being a Catholic makes a difference. How many of those people in Virginia yesterday considered themselves Christians? Probably a scary percentage. And they wanted to make sure, whichever side that they were on, that they bashed the other person's head and got the idea into them. That's not the way of God. Listen for the gentle breeze where you'll find God. Gently touch other people so you can bring God to them. Not with sledgehammers or protest signs, but with a pat on the back or a smile or a cup of coffee. Because if you do that, society in general is going to look at you and wonder what's different about you. And the answer will be that I'm a follower of Christ. And that's what we're all about.